I am.
Yeah, go ahead. Intro the show, Brooks.
All right.
Welcome
Welcome to the Brooks.
No, go ahead, Brooks. It's all you. Why don't you intro the show? Come on, Brooks.
You don't let me have anything, do you?
I'm letting you intro the show.
Welcome to the
What, Brooks? You keep
to
laughing.
the Brooks and Zach podcast. 100 years. I'm Brooks. That's Zach. This is a show where we talk about things.
Podcast. I don't know. Would it be called a show? What is the definition of a show?
What is your definition of a show?
Something you watch.
Right.
Do people watch this? I mean, if we're lucky enough, they would either play it on their iPod as they go to do something else, like what Yaskovich does when he plays it in the shower.
Obviously, yeah. That's just a podcast type thing, and yes, it does count as a show because it's our podcast show.
All right. So we got the news. No news.
No.
We don't have any news.
We had a discussion before we record the podcast. That was It was essentially why I will have no free time over the next few days.
Hold on, give me a second. All right,
essentially why I'm not going to have any free time over the next few days.
Because college finals.
Yeah.
Ain't that right? High five.
Yeah. We did it.
You ruin this every time.
We did it.
Every time, bro.
Anyway, and part of that reason is, why I don't have news right now.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah.
But then we just make up news.
Yeah.
Right? No problem. In Canada this week.
Canada? Please tell me about Canada.
Well, you know how they're known for their hockey and maple syrup and other stereotypes that I can use to offend them?
Nice.
Well, they recently got their own Statue of Liberty.
Really?
They call it the Statue of Liberté.
Like the French.
Yeah. What?
Yeah. Let's do it. Tell me about the
French.
statue.
Well, the statue. Well, it's much like our Statue of Liberty, except there's an EH instead of a Y at the end, and it is covered. I mean, drenched in maple syrup. I mean, like, you go to IHOP and you're like, oh, cool, let me just put some syrup on my pancakes. And you pour a little bit on there because you want to have the right pancake to syrup ratio. Not the Statue of Liberty. It's just drenched. Well, that's my news. I can come up with more, but I would like you to come up with the news.
I will come up with the news.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, today it was announced by Disney that they're gonna take what they're gonna do. They're gonna take Donald Duck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
They're gonna take him. They're gonna toss him out.
Toss him out.
They're gonna toss him out.
Like a Thanksgiving dinner.
Like a turducken.
Turducken.
Now, what they do is they're gonna take Mickey Mouse.
Yes.
Toss him out. They're gonna take Goofy.
Yeah, why are they tossing all these guys out?
They're gonna toss them out.
No, I heard what you said. I'm just wondering why they're tossing out their main mascots.
And they're taking. They tossed them out.
Okay, they're tossed
in a bowl.
You said that.
They are in a bowl. They have been tossed into a bowl.
Okay,
you toss it a bit more. Dump it
What
out.
do we dump it?
Sprinkle on a little bit of it.
No, you're talking. Yeah, I'm hearing the words. But
Kingdom Hearts 4.
All right, I am on board. You've gotten me.
It was released a year ago. Officially today, they are announcing that it was released a year ago.
So it's their anniversary.
No. It was like, they say it's a year, but it was more like a year and 4 days.
Oh, okay. But it's all before Kingdom Hearts 3. Well, that is kind of something
because Kingdom Hearts 3 has been canceled.
But Kingdom Hearts 4 hasn't?
Yes.
There's just a huge time gap?
Yeah.
And a year ago, I could have started playing.
So, Sora's dead.
All right.
Riku is dead.
All right, yeah.
The girl is dead.
How did they die?
They died when you put a key in them, and then they unlocked it, and then it let in all of the death, because the door was opened by the key. The door of their chest.
You're not wrong.
They were stabbed repeatedly.
Sora did die.
On the steps of the Senate.
He did stab himself with the key at one point.
On the steps of the Senate.
Darkness came out.
All of the Disney characters came out
and then he
to Sora and stabbed him repeatedly.
But that's how Julius
and
Caesar,
they're just like, beware the Ides of Mouse. And they stabbed him a bunch, and he's just like, it too.
And then he died.
Bimo.
And Bimo? BMO is from Adventure Time.
Oh, I was thinking of that, the thing. I was trying to reach for a Disney character with a B.
Berkeley and Jensen's.
Eat et tu, Berkeley and Jensen's was Sora's last words, and that is how the franchise is ended. That was the end of Kingdom Hearts 3, which got canceled, so none of that happened. But in Kingdom Hearts 4, all of that happened.
It's a parallel timeline.
No, in Kingdom Hearts 4 is dealing with repercussions of that thing that didn't happen.
The thing that didn't happen.
So they're all very sad that they had to stab Sora a bunch on the steps of the Senate.
The thing that didn't happen sounds a lot like a town that would be named in Kingdom Hearts, because there was the city that never was. There was the land before dusk or something like that. I don't know.
But then Disney announced, guess what?
What did they announce?
They take
Gordon Freeman.
They take the cow.
They didn't announce Gordon Freeman.
No.
Oh.
Because who's the voice actor?
Who's the voice actor of Gordon Freeman? Curveball. Here it is. Air Supply.
They take the cow from the early cartoons.
They
take him.
I got you.
They toss him out.
They're tossing them all out.
They're tossing them all out into Kingdom Hearts 4.
That was announced.
There's a special Song of the South level where everyone's racist.
I don't think.
Then there's a Nazi level.
Okay, why is there a Nazi level?
Because Donald Duck was a Nazi once, but that was a dream. So it's also a dream sequence.
The
but
whole
then
game
not.
is a dream sequence.
Then the Nazis show up, and then Sora is still dead. Riku is brought on to fight the Nazis, and he is dead.
Okay.
But then Mickey Mouse is just like, we gotta do it. We gotta gotta go into the depths, deep in the Disney vault. We gotta get him. Sword in the Stone. Okay. There's a Sword in the Stone level. And then
You're still going.
They take the sword and the stone because it's easier to lift up the rock that the sword is in than to take out the sword of the rock.
Naturally.
So now you have two weapons, both a sword that can cut and a rock that can hit with over the head.
Okay.
So they take this and they just sort of swing it about. And then they stop swinging it, then they give it to Tangled. And then Tangled starts swinging it about. She puts it in her hair, and then she starts swinging it about.
You keep saying swinging it about.
Swinging it about. And then they throw it at the Hitler.
All right.
And then Hitler dodges.
This is supposed to be
and
news,
then
or are we
Stalin
doing a
is
on
just
the game
like
now?
Hitler.
Reviewing the game.
Hitler.
Yeah.
We have to stop them. Because I am Stalin.
Is that your German
accent?
accent?
Then Hitler is just like, no. And then Hitler takes Stalin up and throws him into the core of the
Heartless.
The Heartless.
All right, there we go.
Takes him into the
We
Heartless.
almost lost it for a second, but you saved it.
Then he became true Heartless, and then Indiana Jones came and he shot them both.
All right.
And then all was peace and heart and friendship and heart.
Is that the whole...
Kingdom Hearts 5.
No, it's not. We're done with... All right, so that was the news.
Instead of the news, do you just want to talk about One Punch Man for an hour?
I think that would work.
Okay.
Is that what's... But before we do, I have a couple of announcements I need to make for the other fellow employees of the Brooks and Zach 100 Years apartment. So I'm sorry, listeners.
Okay.
But, they're all required to actually listen to the podcast as it goes up. And they don't really listen to any other announcements that go on, so I have to say it through the PA system.
Yeah, our boss has told us we have to weave them in very discreetly into the podcast. Yeah, we have to... this section you're listening to right now will be deleted. How are you listening to this? You are magic. Apply for a job here. We could really use your skills.
It's probably Tony. He's not good with editing.
Fucking Tony. God. Okay, fine.
All right. So Thanksgiving was not canceled, and Janet, get the cranberry sauce out of the refrigerator. It is spoiling, and no one likes it, and we would just like for you to take it home. Also, Janet, you're fired. Get it out. Well, that was the one message from up top. The rest are just about Christmas and how feel free to decorate your office space with as much festive activities as you want, except for Christmas. No Christmas things. We are a strictly Kwanzaa based.
Here are the following things that you can and cannot do in your office. Now, we will start with the cannots. Snowman, Santa Claus, pine trees,
Reindeer.
ornaments,
Lights in general. Fluorescent or festive.
Jesus Christ.
The Messiah. Any Messiah.
Take a pick. It's no good.
Up, and the nativity scene.
No frankincense, no myrrh,
Or murder.
or murder.
Judith.
No gold. But yes, gold.
Only
But
for us.
no gold.
Only if it's Judaism gold.
Judaism gold?
Jew gold. It needs to be
Yes.
Jew gold. Because we understand it is a diverse culture.
Yes.
And every Jew at the Brooks and Zach 100 Years office wears that sack of gold around their neck carrying their Jew gold. And we can't ask them to remove that because that is the source of their power.
I may have to cut that. Anyway, moving on to more cannots. You cannot have carrots. You cannot have pumpkin pie. You cannot have
Turkey.
Duck. You cannot have duck.
Or turduck.
You cannot have turduck. You can have the inn,
Yeah.
but you cannot have the turduck.
Right.
You cannot have anything related to bells and or their jingling, or the rock that may result
However,
from it.
one exception to the festive rule is figgy pudding. You may
Figgy
have
pudding.
as much figgy pudding as you want, but I swear to God, Janice, if you leave the figgy pudding in the refrigerator, just like you did last time, we're going to refire you again. We have sent you a note in the mail saying we are hiring you just to fire you yet again.
Yes. And that note will include a bloody knife. Whose blood is it? You gotta log on to the website and put in special promo code 100 years in order to know whose blood is on the knife.
100 years. HUNRED. 100 years.
100 years.
Because there was a character limit. We couldn't go over 6.
And who needs, there's already another D in it, so we don't need another.
Double up on D's.
Yeah.
D's nuts. That was a self-clap for myself.
Merry Christmas, but not for
Not
you.
Christmas.
Not Christmas.
Correct.
Only Kwanzaa.
And the following things are available.
Yes.
This has concluded the announcement.
Okay, so this is probably our least structured episode of
by far.
the podcast. We're just sort of riffing and
Because
everything.
we ran out of news. You're exhausted.
I am exhausted from constantly working.
I did nothing today except play a little bit of Smite.
Yeah.
And that's it. Fun thing. I finished my finals. I went into the classroom. The teacher was like, all right, your final is that you need to write a 5-paragraph essay on what you learned in this class, how you became a better writer from this class, and everything like that. I'm like, easy peasy. So I went in there, typed it all up, 30 minutes flat. I got 3 pages. I'm like, this was super easy. It was actually 2 pages. But still. I looked at it, I was like, yeah, this is good. Printed it out, handed it to him, and he's like, you're the first one done? I'm like, I looked around, everybody else is still typing on their computer, and I go, I guess so. He's like, but you always hand in your papers last. Does this mean you could have always handed your papers in on time, and I gave you extensions for no reason? And I just looked at him, and I go, you put the grades in already, didn't you? He's like, I did. I'm like, then you can't do nothing about it. He's like, I can change the grades. I'm like, then my mother died. And then I just left. I left the class. What was that laugh?
That's my normal laugh.
Oh, honey. Honey, no. Honey, please.
No.
No, look.
No.
You want to hear what a real laugh sounds like? Let me just grab a ear of corn and some horses and just let me show you how a real man laughs. Let me show you. Let me
No.
Kiss me. Nobody's gonna expect it. Just kiss me right on the face. Just kiss me. Punch me in the dick. Punch me. Come on, do it. I'll be rock hard. Oh, you didn't cut this part out. Yeah, all right then. So, One Punch Man is the topic of today.
One more thing before we get into the topic.
Okay.
the reason we're doing this topic is it's because it's something that Zach likes.
Yes.
And because the next episode is going to be
pure Star Wars.
It's all going to be Star Wars. And it's all going to be about both. It's going to be split into 2 halves.
What?
Where we're going to, well, you know, it's going to be one episode.
Okay, I was.
It's going to be one episode where,
okay,
like, we're going to talk about all the other movies, and then the second half will be us talking about the new one that came out.
All right.
Everything. And then after that, we're probably gonna Zach and I, not just me, they're going to record a mini-sode for Christmas, so we don't have to work then.
That's true.
Yeah,
that'd be good.
So, yeah, and
we'll
then
have to make a song for that. 12 Days of Brooks and Zach miss.
Wait until we record the mini-sode.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be all good, and then we'll be back to normal afterwards. Consider this our weird month where we're not really structured that much, and it's all
dude. What are you talking about? December?
Yeah. Let's do it. Although we already had some stuff in December, doesn't matter. Don't care.
Doesn't matter. December. Don't care. December.
Don't care. We don't even care anymore. We'll go back to caring in January when it's just like, geez, we should have cared.
Oh Christ! The views plummeted.
Yes. That's the entire title of the...
Fun fact, ever since we linked the podcast to my Tumblr, there have been 2 people who are like, the fuck, you made a podcast? I'm like, I guess so. Is this what this is? I just come here and I don't know what I'm doing. And I had to play it off like I didn't make a podcast, because if any real people who I know are just like, you make a podcast, I have to deny it immediately. You know how it is.
Really? But because if they ask me that, I'm just like... Yeah. And then they're like, are you going to tell me the name of it? I'm like, no.
And they're like, oh, so you're in a podcast? I'm like, yeah, it's just a thing. And like, oh, but you've been making it for how many weeks now? I'm like, 13, 14, 18, how?
A few months, you know?
It's just a thing. It's, you know. And then I just leave. And then they're like, what the fuck? And they're like, my mom died. And then I leave again.
Your mom does sure die a lot.
Yeah, well, I have a lot of excuses. All right.
Oh, it's funny because Josh told me this the other day.
Yeah.
Yaskovich?
Yeah.
He's like...
I like how we always say... He's the only one we say his full name on, and he doesn't care.
Yeah. It was funny because that one... Hang on, I gotta remember exactly how the conversation went. He's just like, okay, so I was talking to that girl that Zach had introduced me to.
Yep.
And everything. And it was so weird. She was just like... out of nowhere, like, I was just like, Josh said, yeah, I'm going to be filming a thing this weekend with Zach and Brooks and everything. And he's just like, oh, yeah, I know Brooks. He's the one who does the podcast with Zach. And it's just like, have you heard they're doing a podcast? And he's just like, Josh is like, what the fuck? You know, I was on it, you know? I'm just like, so I may have met that girl, like, once. I barely know her. But, yes. But she now knows me through this, and that's weird. I don't like it. Yeah. And podcast canceled. It's starting yesterday.
All right. Just like Kingdom Hearts 4.
Just
3.
like 3 and 5.
Oh, well, let's go to the prequels of Kingdom Hearts. Birth by Sleep.
Some refer to it as the Strikes Back of the series. Others refer to it as the Phantom Menace of the series. Others refer to it as Highlander 3.
Oh, no. That was bad.
Not high.
Wasn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
But not the worst. That was The Quickening.
How many Highlander movies were there?
A lot.
Can we do an episode on that?
Yes.
I only saw the first one.
I've seen a few, and we can definitely, sure as hell, do an episode on that.
All
probably
right.
in January.
All right. There can only be one.
I still want to do an episode on the Rocky movies.
Oh, that's right. That's a thing. Creed was good.
Yeah, I still need to see that.
Oh, I saw it with Mattis.
I wanted to see it. I gotta see it.
Okay.
See it.
Okay. So,
okay, hang on. I have to put back on my loopy persona that I've been keeping up this episode. Hang on.
Put back on your loopy persona.
Fuck you, man. I don't need this. Okay. Anyway.
All right.
I'm sorry, listeners, that I'm not normal today, but you know.
Brooks, I want you to know that whenever you're normal, it concerns everyone deeply. Even the executive producer of Brooks and Zach 100 Years. Isn't that right, Mattis? Yeah, he said yeah. But fuck. He's on the other side of the soundproof window. Which is
Good old Mattis. Is that... What was that? Oh, that's his penis. Okay.
all right. Yeah.
Yeah, he's just sort of like
I mean,
pressing.
it's not even.
pressing up
He's not even in a booth. He's just out there on the rafters, just cleaning the window. Soundproof windows. That's all we have, and he's just. I mean, he'll clean it up so we can't yell at him, but
Mattis.
do
Mattis.
not dick window. Okay.
Do you even know sign language?
I don't, but I figured if I motion my body parts enough, he'll. All right, he's just taking off his. I'm not challenging you, Matt. All right.
How many people do you think have tuned out by now?
Everyone.
Everyone?
Except Leo.
Some people, yeah, Leo's the only one who we can really rely on, but there are going to be some people who click on this just to hear about One Punch Man and everything, and then they get us rambling for 20 minutes.
Yeah, alright, so should we at least try to talk about One Punch Man now?
Yeah, now we're actually going to talk about One Punch Man.
Alright,
So, why don't we start with first impressions of both people, starting with you, because you found it first.
Okay, so when I first saw One Punch Man, I actually saw it as the manga itself. Which was a little bit farther ahead of everything. So I was like, One Punch Man? Alright, it's about a guy who beats everything in one punch. How is this going to be a good plot at all? It's just too easy for the main character. And then I watched it and I was like, oh my god, this is great because it's not about the main character. It's about all the supporting characters and how the main character is dealing with his depression of being too strong to fight anything. You see, that's One Punch Man.
So your first impression was pretty much the same as mine, except what came about with me was you and Matt recommending the show to me
Multiple times,
and I am not as into anime as the two of you.
Oh, Matt's not into anime either. I'm very surprised. I was like, Matt, would you humor me? Please just watch the first episode of One Punch Man. And he's like, fine. And then he watches the opening, and it's like, One Punch! He got really into it.
Yeah.
It was great.
So, for me, it was like, okay, yeah, it looks cool, and what they're describing as cool is just, not something that I'd, like, seek out.
Right.
And everything. In fact, what prompted, there are two ways that I was able to watch it, and that was, one, after we record and everything, you would sit down and watch an episode with me.
I wouldn't leave the office.
No. You wouldn't leave the office until we jerry-rigged the cable and made it hook up to the Japans, and then we just watched the One Punch Man.
That's correct.
And then it was with this episode, I wanted to give Zach something because basically everything coming up after this point, after like this recording, everything's going to be Star Wars.
Ah, Christ.
So I thought I'd give him this at least. So I was just like, okay.
It.
We can do an episode of One Punch Man, and I'll watch the entire series to be ready for it.
I wish we were another week ahead, because the next episode is kind of, I think, the grand finale, maybe? Not like the last episode, but like it's the highest peak point I think it's going to have. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know where they're going. Maybe they're going to end at 12 episodes. Maybe they're ending at 24. If they end at 24, I'm going to be rock hard, Brooks. I'm gonna lock eyes with you. I'm gonna be rock hard.
You see, for the series, like, I wouldn't be surprised if it goes to 24 because it doesn't feel like it's really built up to much.
What do you mean?
It means that he's still sort of like in the middle of the rankings and everything hero wise. And it's still I'd say it's still episodic.
Well, yeah, the only thing that's making me think it might end at 12 episodes is because a lot of anime recently, a lot of producers are like, wow, we're pumping out a lot of anime right now. We don't know which one's going to be great with the audience. We don't know which one's going to Garzy's wing with the audience. So we got to plan our budget accordingly. We got to make it into separate seasons. And a season is typically 12 episodes. Yeah. So,
but I thought it was I thought Japan was different from other countries in that it doesn't really have seasons.
The thing that makes it a season is like, I hate comparing it to this one because it's kind of bad, but Sword Art Online, You remember that one?
Yeah.
They had Sword Art Online, and then that went on for 24 episodes, but like the popular demand for it was still like, yeah, we still like everything. And then they're like, all right, we can continue going with this. So let's make Sword Art Online 2. It's a direct continuation of it, except, here's a bunch more story to it. Here you go. And I'm like, what? This... No. 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 And they have other ones where they try to shoehorn in a lot of, like, oh, hey, this is happening now? Whoa, what about this guy? This is a really bad guy. We just noticed him. And this is the end. This is the last episode. And you're like, what? All right, I guess they're hoping a lot of people want to see more of it, so they get a budget to make a second season.
Right.
But yeah.
So, it's what you're saying is it's different from because in the way at least American TV works, that it's almost, although for many shows this doesn't happen, but it's almost expected that you're going to get more seasons.
Okay.
And everything. So pause. Okay.
But no.
On pause. But yeah, that you're sort of expected to get more seasons and everything, and that's kind of a given if your show is successful.
Oh, I mean, One Punch Man is getting a second season even if it ends at 12, because the amount of response the fans have given it is just through the roof. And I am so happy because seeing it from a drawn out, like, frame by frame in a manga to the amazing animation style they did is just like you see some sweet potatoes covered in marshmallow, or it's Thanksgiving, and you're like, that kind of I hurt my neck doing that last time.
Listeners, for those who can't see what happened, which is all of you, Zach, every time you did that, he did a weird neck turn.
I tucked my neck in and cocked it to the side to my shoulder.
And that hurt a lot. So he is now in pain. Anyway, yeah, so that's impressions. Do you want to go into the story for a bit?
Okay, so the story of One Punch Man follows our main character, Saitama, who wanted to be a hero just for fun. And he was an unemployed salaryman. Who wasn't anything special. He was just a normal nobody. Except one day, there was this bad guy, and he was just like, I'm gonna kill a kid. And he's like, no, don't kill him.
A giant crab man.
A crab man, yes. Who became a crab because he ate so many crabs.
That is the kind of world we're looking at.
It's a Power Rangers world.
And I love it.
Yeah.
I love the Power Rangers.
They did have an episode, I don't think you saw it. It's an OVA episode, which is like, it's technically not canon, but it's canon. It's like, this doesn't take part of any of the timeline, but it's kind of giving you more information about the world.
Right.
It was a backstory of time during the 3 years of training One Punch Man did.
Yeah.
One Punch Man trained for 3 years to get ungodly strong, and now nobody can beat him, and he's always upset. He's like, I became too strong. This isn't fun.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a hero.
For those who don't know, it takes place in an anime-esque world where it's like, it's sort of like modern day now, but there's 26 cities and they're lettered and everything. Yep. And there's a bunch of superpowered beings all over the place, and essentially whenever a monster comes up, there's this organization called the Hero Association.
Yep.
That I think I kicked the table a little, but the Hero Association gives people can register for it if they want to be like powered up heroes and everything, and you can rise through different ranks and classes depending on how good you are at being a hero. From
C to S. CBAS.
CBAS, with S being the highest and C being the lowest.
S is like a AAA.
Yeah.
Hold on.
And then rankings within that thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, different rankings within it, and basically a bunch of... So if an emergency happens, like a monster shows up to a city or something, then different heroes can respond to it, and I really like that there's a large variety of heroes that are just sort of operating in the world, and that there's different levels of them and they can respond to different situations. Mm-hmm. I like that because that's sort of like, that's essentially how like comic books happen.
Puri Prisoner.
Okay, we'll get into characters a bit later after the story. Right. So the guy trains up and he becomes essentially the strongest in the world.
Imagine Superman if Superman was stronger.
Yeah, like I said, in the character thing I want to make, I'm probably going to go off on Saitama because he's one of my favorites.
Oh, you really like Saitama?
Yeah,
Good.
I really like him because he's a lot like Superman. And I'll talk more about that in the character
Except
section.
he has a nicer character to him. I think he does.
No, I'll explain in a bit.
All
So the story goes like, yeah, and then Saitama is going through and he's like just doing a hero for funsies, and then he meets a cyborg guy named Janos who becomes his student, and they work together. They both register to be heroes, and they deal with the different monster threats, and it's pretty episodic, but it has like some like continuing story elements going episode to episode.
Every fight has fun little banter, a major fight that's really well animated, and then a little bit more fun banter.
Yeah. For those who don't know, it is a comedy series.
It's definitely comedy action.
Action comedy, yeah. So definitely, yeah.
Not when Saitama fights, but whenever anybody else fights, it's action because it's just like, I'm going to fight One Punch Man, and
the animation is great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. My favorite fight, I think, was the one between Saitama and Genos so far.
Really?
I think so. I've watched that one a lot.
For me, that was like, I may get into this later, but for me, that was like that fight is one of the ones where I'm just like, okay, I can tune out and do other things because I know that, well, for one thing, they're both friends and they're not gonna hurt each other, and two, like knowing that they're not gonna hurt each other, I know that Saitama can't like be like beaten by Genos, so like it's cool and flashy, but it's not as important as the other fights that I can tune out, and sometimes during the fights I can like. That applies to it, where I'm like, yeah, it's fun, but there's not really...
What about against Speed of Sound Sonic?
See, that's the thing. Because of the concept of One Punch Man, the creators are smart enough to know that they're taking out pretty much all the tension in the fight, so they decide to insert comedy into it to replace it, which makes it work, because this series could not work as a drama. No. So it's very tongue-in-cheek and very... fun and all that, and that works to its benefits.
I mean, it works as a drama when One Punch Man isn't there.
Yeah.
Like, the Menma Rider, the bicycling guy, he's my favorite.
He's also one of my favorites, yeah.
He's like Batman if Batman was weaker and nice. And had a... I don't know.
Nah, his character's really different from Batman. Yeah. In a minute, I'm gonna make a Superman Saitama analogy, but like, that, like, I think I thought the same thing. I'm just like, can Menmo Rider be compared to Batman? I'm like, nah, it's completely different.
No, but he's like nice. He's a regular guy, but no, that's all. Yeah. That's the only comparison.
Yeah, it's like much more like there's a lot more tension when you get to know the supporting characters and Saitama's not there, but like part of you knows, he's gonna show up before anything bad happens and beat him in one punch.
Yeah. One Punch Man.
But that's not like a detriment to the series or anything.
It's great.
So, going into characters. Start with the big one. One Punch Man. Yes. Oh, okay, before characters, real quick. Another thing is that, like, I've said many a time that I'm a fan of Power Rangers.
Yeah.
And whenever they're just like, City Z, there's a monster, but he's in the abandoned buildings district. And I'm like, that's such a Power Rangers thing. It's just like, it's fortunate that they're fighting in the abandoned buildings district, or else these giant robots would be killing so many people. I'm like, yes. So, okay, going into characters in Saitama, I like him a lot, and a part of the reason is he's pretty much Superman. He's pretty much Superman that's stronger.
His only superpower is that he can punch things really, really hard, and he moves really fast.
Yeah, he's like a very beginning of his run Superman.
Yeah, Superman without the flight or laser.
If he was like even stronger, but I like the Superman thing because like you say that his character is different. When I'm like, no, that's pretty much Superman in the comics and everything. Because Superman's a bit more like noble and everything than Saitama. But like, hear me out. So he is a guy who is the strongest in the universe.
Correct.
But the thing about him is that he's still very human, and he's relatable because he's like Saitama trained for it, and Superman was born with it, but Superman was still, just like a guy from Kansas and everything.
Yeah.
And he didn't know anything about his alien history or anything until he was an adult.
Right.
And he'd already been used to the powers. And Saitama is just a normal guy who trains for a bit and becomes the strongest. And both of them decide that they want to be heroes and to help people for really no reason other than it's just what they want to do.
Right.
And all that. And they still have to, and they're very successful in the fighting aspects of their lives, but they still got to deal with a bunch of other stuff in the
World.
in their normal civilian lives, where Saitama has to make rent.
Yep.
And everything.
That's why I like him more, because he doesn't have like, I'm the greatest Superman ever. Everybody knows who I am. Whereas Saitama's just like, nobody knows me yet. That's kind of it's a little bit annoying, but I'm not doing this to make everybody happy. I'm doing this because being a hero is what I want to do.
Superman's the same way. Where like Superman being the most popular superhero really came out of like within the DC universe really came out of just the fact that it's been going on for so long, and the fact that when it was started, Superman was the most popular superhero, in like because people always bought the comics, and people do like him a lot, but I see a lot of character parallels between Saitama and Superman. Okay, spoilers to the whole series, but when Saitama fought the Sea King,
yeah,
and everything, and at the part when the one jerk off in the crowd is like complaining about the heroes,
like, and we pay money for the heroes to fight, and this C-class guy beat him.
Yeah, and then Saitama's like, he's just like, yeah, it's a good thing all those, like, he's like playing it up, and he's like, hey, good thing all those heroes warmed down. That was easy. Like, that was easy to beat. Now, none of you people tell them that I was late and took all the credit.
I'm taking all the credit for all that work.
And I watched that. I'm like, that is a very Superman thing to do. Like Superman, like you don't see in the movies or anything, but in the comics, he's just like, yeah, he'd do something like that.
I mean, I never read any of the Superman comics, so I don't know him as that. I only know him as like Justice League Superman, which is just like, all right, whatever. He's supposed to be super noble because he's Superman.
Yeah, that's because like stuff like that happens because his character is really like. He has to fill that role within the team and everything because you get people like the other character personalities. They're sort of like that, like Batman and all that,
right?
And like Flash and Green Lantern. They sort of have their own personalities. So you need like a Superman to be the leader and everything and take that role. But when Superman's just on his own and he does stuff like that, and he's the one who's willing to maybe take hits for other people to make them to make everything work out fine. Like he's the one who's gonna be like, these guys can take the credit and everything. They can take all that because Superman, in the end, he's not really interested in his public image and everything. Over time, he's just like, I probably should be an example to the world on how they should act and everything. But all in all, I'm doing it to save people, and I'm doing it to be a hero and all this.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, and Saitama is very much an early Superman. Everything like all of your
he's far too laid back though to be a Superman.
All of your perceptions of Superman are very much the. I'm not saying he is much more laid back than Superman. Yeah. Yes, I'm not saying it's a 1-to-1 comparison. Right. But I am seeing like
he's similar, but he's not like
Superman beginning of his career, Superman, because your perceptions, your like views of Superman that I can see in your face whenever I'm talking about this stuff. That's very much like well established, late in the game Superman and all that.
When a person's voice is supposed to stop cracking? I mean, I would think after 18, but you're holding that record. I'm sorry, that was mean. I just went, no, Brooks, please.
But yeah, every time I say, it's like I can see in your face that every time I say Saitama's pretty much like Superman, and then you're like doing that thing where you're like,
like a slight wince.
One of those people who doesn't like Superman and everything.
I don't though.
Yeah, and that's because like the Superman is the Justice League Superman the Superman the movies and everything. The Superman I know is more like Saitama.
Okay.
And everything. That's the Superman of the comics, the Superman of like before Justice League animated show and everything. That's the Superman.
I wonder if One Punch Man can destroy a planet with one punch.
I don't think so. I think it's like
so
only enemies because you see him punching the ship a lot and it doesn't go down.
Well, do you care if I spoil something for you? Or
well, now that I'm into it, like,
okay, no,
I'm gonna be guessing he beats something in one punch as the spoiler.
No, it's every time he's thrown a punch, fully thrown a punch. Have you seen him throw it with an intent to actually harm someone? Fully throwing the punch, because when he fought Genos, he stopped short. And it was like, yeah, no, just kidding.
Well, basically every other villain he's fought.
Has he, though? Has he thrown a punch with the same killing intent that he briefly showed Genos? Because he just saw, like, let me go with an earlier one so it's not crazy. The big colossal man in the first episode. You remember that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, he just, blank expression on the face, boom. Yeah, tell me about it. Being strong sucks. When he's fighting the...
But speaking of the thing, it's just like... yeah, speaking of that, the Genos fight, I laughed when, when one punch, pulled his fist back, and then you just saw, death on the screen. I'm like, oh, that's funny. But,
that's funny. That's what everybody sees when the punch is coming at them. They're fucked.
But when, people are probably going to listen to this, and it's just like, Superman's completely different from Saitama for this reason, this reason, this reason.
If anybody listened to this.
If anyone listened, I'm like... Well, it's not like I said, it's not like a one-to-one comparison. I'm just seeing a lot of parallels that you probably not being a fan of Superman probably doesn't see. But I'm just like, yeah, this guy's pretty much a Japanese Superman who's a lot stronger. And we're not going to get into a who would win in a fight type thing. Yeah, you can pick that up a little bit, but it's just a quirk that people will have to deal with until we find an actual recording space that's not the office.
Yes.
And everything next to the air vent.
Boiler.
Yeah, next to the boiler.
On the one of the top floors.
Yeah, it's weird. You can tell by the podcast that if you take the quality of the podcast and then think of that applied to an office building and the design of it, then you're just like, yeah, they put the boiler room on the top on one of the top floors. Anyway, I'm just like, yeah, he's I see a lot of early career Superman parallels to him.
Alright.
So,
what about the other characters? What do you think about them? Other than Saitama, who are your top 3 characters you like?
Okay, so, other than Saitama?
Yes.
Okay, because he's very much like Superman, he's probably my favorite.
We just talked about
Menmo Rider, whatever.
Menmo Rider, yeah.
He's my favorite. Because he is just like, I'm just a Class C, but I'm gonna fight anyway.
Yeah, he's like, I know I am way outclassed right now. I'm probably gonna die. But, fuck it, I'm gonna try my best. And you're like, good job, buddy.
Yeah.
And then, he gets one punched.
No, he takes a few punches.
I don't know if it was it a few? Or was it just, I thought it was one good kush.
I think it was one punch and a few other blows that weren't punches.
It wasn't an Angel Rush, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, Puri Prisoner. He's amusing. He's not my favorite.
Puri Prisoner.
I like him, but he's not my favorite.
Right.
Genos is probably one of my favorites because he's really cool, and he's another one who's just like, even if I'm outclassed, I'm gonna fight.
Yeah.
And everything. Who else is my favorite?
What about Speed of Sound Sonic? What do you think about him? You're not a fan of Speed of Sound?
Not a fan. He's kind of annoying.
He's a good villain. I think.
Is he though?
I think he is.
I don't think he is.
Why not?
Because he's just like. Look, the thing with the villains is that a lot of them are really cocky and boastful, and it does get annoying. But it's not as annoying when you know for a fact that Saitama's just gonna show up and kill them in one punch, and knowing that that's going to happen, you're fine. But the thing with the Sonic, gotta go fast.
I don't watch it for the tension. I watch it for the
is
hilarious.
I don't watch it for the tension either. I watch it for the fun fights and everything. I'm just saying that the villain's personality, the villains don't create tension I'm saying that they're cocky and thus kind of annoying, but it's not all that irritating because you know that
I hope it lasts 24 episodes because then there's a villain that isn't like that and you'll like him.
like
Her,
I'm saying
him,
that
them. Yes.
I'm saying that it's not about the tension. It's about knowing that Saitama's going to kill them when one punch is good because that's kind of catharsis or whatever you call that.
Yeah.
But the thing with Sonic Gotta Go Fast is that he is an annoying villain that you know for a fact that Saitama's not gonna just kill and everything.
Right. But
so which means he's gonna keep showing up and everything.
Why I think he's a good villain is because he's like, oh yeah, I realize that you're super fast also, and you just broke my sword with your teeth. How about I just attack all the civilians instead? Can you stop me then? And then he goes and does his thing, and then.
But he didn't manage to get any of the civilians.
No, because Saitama's, he's right there. But still, it was good because
I don't like him as a villain.
Oh, okay.
I think he's irritating, and knowing that one punch isn't gonna kill him, I'm just like, nah.
Oh, I like it because he's got potential as a guy, as a villain.
I don't think so.
I want to see Genos and him fight. I think that'd be cool.
That'd probably be a good fight.
Yeah.
So that's
because then we'll actually. We don't know how strong he really is because the only person he's really fought is One Punch Man.
No, he killed all those Hammerhead guys.
Yeah, and we have to assume that they're not that strong.
Right.
Because they all died.
And then he didn't really do anything to the Sea King.
He just avoided him, which is apparently an amazing feat in and of itself.
Is it though?
The only person who, well, even Puri Puri couldn't dodge it, and he was an S-class.
Well, I just don't like that character.
Oh, okay.
Think of who else?
What did you think?
The mustache guy was cool.
Oh, the magnificent mustachio.
Yeah, he can be my number 3.
Oh,
fine.
What about King? Do you remember him? He was one of the S-class heroes in the last episode.
He hasn't really done anything yet.
Okay.
He's just sort of sat there and be like, it's too high up. I'm just like...
Oh, God. I can't. Okay.
Okay.
No, it's just because he is apparently, quote-unquote, the strongest man in the world.
Well, he's not, because we know Saitama is that.
Okay.
You did a thing that is a spoiler saying that that's not how that plays out.
Or is it how it plays out?
Here's a breaking... just broke. Brooks and Zach. This news, Saitama's gonna lose to King.
He's gonna... I can't wait till you see episodes that happen.
Okay.
Because it's great. Anyway.
You're one of those people... It's a reversed, because when we watch Game of Thrones, I would be like this whenever you would ask me things, having read the books.
You read all the books, like, hey, does this happen? You're like, yeah,
Like, you ask me if something's going to happen, and knowing that something sort of like that, but completely different is going to happen.
Yep.
Then you got, now it's this.
Yes.
But I don't care nearly as much.
Oh, okay. Oh, goodness.
I really like the show. I really like it.
I'm glad you're liking it, at least. Because that's a plus. And, oh, jeez Louise. Alright, so we talked about story. We talked about characters. What else is
Fights?
it? Fights.
You want to talk about the fights?
Yeah, the fights are awesome. I mean, the animation for the fights are awesome. Like, I love...
Sometimes. Most of the time. I'd say 90% of the time. But then you get the little things where they had to stretch the budget.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't, like, for me, when they kind of do that thing where it looks like they cut down on the animation quality, I wish I could think of another example of this. But, like, when it goes black and white or something, and it's just, like, several, like, pencil strokes to show, like, how quickly they're moving or how intense it is. I really like that because it drives a point home.
Sometimes that's a stylistic choice. What I'm talking about more is, like, those moments where you're just like, yeah, this animation looks kind of cheaper than the rest. And I got a moment when Genos was fighting the Sea King. Mm-hmm. Like, you had some cool parts, but then you also had parts that's just like they're exchanging blows, and it's like there's like the outlines of the characters aren't really there. It's like really like blotchy or whatever. Gotcha. And it's just like not as high quality as some other things. You watching more animes?
I'm trying to watch the one. Like, I think this is the one of the punches from an anime I I really liked.
Is this One Punch?
No, this is One Piece.
One Piece. Oh, okay.
Yeah, because right now...
So it's the prequel.
Yeah, of course. But
or
no,
is it the sequel?
what happened is...
is the ship going to flood the Earth and then we get One Piece?
But that dude's like a president, like a super god president. Like everybody's like, oh shit, don't hit him because he controls the entire navy. And then the Luffy, he's like, oh fuck nah, man, you shot my friend, so I'm a.
Hey, it was that one guy
snuff.
from the fights that you chose.
Yeah, Eustace Kid.
Yeah,
he's in the One Piece. But
he is the One Piece. Yeah. There's really no point in talking about the. See that? That's a stylistic choice, I think. That less than. Yeah, it saves budget, but it's also,
It looked awesome, I think.
But, yeah, there's really no point in thinking of stuff like, what's Saitama, how would he fight against Superman?
Could you re-say that? Could you re-say that?
How could Saitama... Titanic? Okay, like, how would he fight against Superman? I'm just like, well, given the rules of the universe established by One Punch Man, he would beat anyone with one punch.
Yep.
So, it doesn't matter that who he fights. Like, Superman, Goku, the Hulk, he'd beat them in one punch.
Yep.
Unless you contrived a thing where they went to their universe and the rules were somehow different and he had to take more than one punch. But... within the One Punch universe, Saitama would win any fight.
Within the One Punch universe, he has extreme ease beating anybody in one punch. Yes. Like, because I'm farther than you are in the whole series, and the rules they've established isn't Saitama is, like, he doesn't always win in one punch. He doesn't, like, there are people who are strong enough to withstand more than one punch. So that means...
Why is it called One Punch Man?
Because typically every single time he does.
But that is a lie. Also, another thing. We had a discussion about the, tying it back to Jessica Jones when they don't want to say the names of the heroes. Not once in the series is he called One Punch Man.
That's correct.
I don't like that.
You know what they call him? You know what they call him later
Caped
on?
Baldy.
Yep. They give him a superhero name later in the future, and they're like, hey, your new honorary superhero name is Caped Baldy. And he's like, oh. Because it's building it up. Like, oh, he's going to be called One Punch Man. Because they know he beats everybody in one... Caped Baldy. All right, well... We'll go with this.
I know it's a joke, but I still don't like it. I want him to be I just want him to call him One Punch Man.
One Punch Man! Because apparently, like, On Punch Man or something. Like, you saw the same video I did, didn't you? Like, One Punch Man was made by a guy who did a webcomic.
Oh, yeah. I saw that video talking about the One Punch. I
didn't notice how, in the opening, his main attack, the Serious Punch, his trump card... They explained in that video that Saitama's signature move, his ultimate move, is the... how did he say it? The serious punch. And when he does that, he, like, brings his hand back in a certain way. That's a little nod to Hunter x Hunter, where the main character does a super punch kind of thing.
Right.
And it's great, because that's what I was getting at earlier. Have you ever seen Saitama get serious when he throws a punch?
Well, I can't really remember.
He hasn't.
Okay.
They're all just... That was me punching. That was me.
Ow. Ow. Ow.
One punch!
That's several punches.
It could all be one if you believed.
No, it's not. You do the anime thing. Do the anime thing where I have, like, a fist. Like, I've punched you, and you're just sort of there for a minute. And you do the cough up the blood, and then you're just like the...
I never understood how that worked. Like, why do all animes do that? Like, a person gets hit really hard in the stomach and they cough blood? Is that how that works?
I don't know.
Or they get shot in the stomach and they cough blood? Like, an immediate reaction? I'd understand if, like, a couple seconds passed, maybe, and because, like, then the blood would get in their stomach, and then maybe it would cause...
Yeah, we're gonna... Yeah, but they do the whole anime punch thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're gonna be wrapping up soon, so... we can get ready for having the boys over.
Star Wars Marathon.
Okay, so final thoughts on One Punch Man.
I love it. They haven't disappointed me yet. I look forward... I'm gonna buy the DVD box set when it comes out. I really hope they don't mess up the dub. I want to hear good voices for what they choose.
Okay, so
I get your Lanny Pator being One Punch Man.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
I could see that.
You should audition for that whenever they have it.
Be great.
But yeah, if Funimation does it, then they might just let them audition for it because they're really good with Team 4-Star and Funimation are really buddy.
Yeah, I like that. Oh, it'd be great. Okay.
They it was funny. I was listening to one of their Let's Plays where it was like all of them playing like Dragon Ball Z games.
Yeah.
And they're playing Supersonic Warriors and they're playing Krillin's storyline. And they're just like, they're like making fun of the lines delivery by the guy who plays Krillin, Sonny something.
Yeah.
I think is his name. It's just like, and then like I think it was either Kaiser or Takashi or Lanny or one of them. It's just like it's funny because later today we're gonna be seeing Sonny for dinner. So we're gonna ask him. He's like, hey, do you remember Supersonic Warriors? And he's like, what is that? But I'm just like, I like that they're friends. My impressions.
Is he that Krillin that talks like this? The like old classic Krillin.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, whichever one they have now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah. One Punch Man impressions. I really like it. It's not being much of a fan of anime. It's definitely one of my favorites now.
Yeah.
It's
right next to Garzy's Wing, right?
Yeah. Garzy's Wing is the absolute favorite.
Right.
It's very enjoyable. I did not dislike any of the episodes. They were all really good.
Okay.
The animation is good. The fights are good. It's really funny, and I like the characters. And I can't wait for somebody to be like, oh, that's nothing like everything you said about Superman was nothing like that. I'm like, oh okay. But it's just like, yeah, I see a lot of there's a lot of characters.
Superman was nothing like that.
Hmm.
Yeah, nothing you said doesn't. I'm the commenter.
Oh.
He's not Superman.
Oh, okay.
420 was an inside job.
I guess I'm the wrong then. But yeah, I like a lot of the characters in One Punch Man. I like the creativity in it, and I'm going to keep watching it. So.
Yeah. All right.
So let's go to what you've been keeping up with, where we can talk about.
Been doing all the finals. Tried out for Avenue Q, hoping I get in that.
Yeah, they're having it at the college.
Avenue Q is gonna be awesome.
For me, I had to watch One Punch Man.
Yep.
Getting ready for finals next week.
Okay.
I told you about a ton of projects and papers that I have done that
really
are due.
Should have done this more.
I should have done them a long time ago.
That's your fault.
I did this to me.
Apparently that video started here.
Yeah, it did.
I didn't know that.
Because it's about our high school and the drug problems that were there before we went there.
All right.
But yeah. And then what's going to be happening today and over the next few days is today we got to get ready to have the boys over for a Star Wars marathon.
We got to go on a snack run. I got to get gas, probably at the Shell nearby.
Yeah, and we got to get the place ready, and then we'll be like, yeah, it's all going to be good. Then we'll be watching Force Awakens next week, and then we'll record about it.
Yeah, all right, so.
Plugs. If you want to talk to us, tell me how I'm wrong about Superman or whatever, just write us a letter. Wait, we're not.
We gotta go fast.
Oh, yeah. Gotta go fast. Gotta go supersonic speed of sound.
We can get all 5 of these out of the way.
Okay, so, Brooks and Zach, 100years at gmail.com.
That's one.
At 100yearspod on Twitter.
Correct.
At Squeezy McCheesy. At Brave Snuggles. And the Pinterest.
At Brave Snuggles, also.
If you follow us on SoundCloud, check out the iTunes. If you subscribe on iTunes, check out the SoundCloud.
Give it to me, baby.
Now we're going. We're good. Do the sign off.
All right, gotta same sign off as we always do. Gotta be super fast this time.
Yeah, supersonic.
All right, so you breathe in deeply through your nose, and then you exhale deeply through your mouth, and then you hold one hand up to the air, you put another hand down to the sky, you slowly bring them towards each other like they're two hydrogen atoms about to fuse together, creating nuclear fission. But the second your fingers touch to each other, boom, there's the explosion. You grab your head, and you don't know what to do except by shouting, Brooks and Zach, 100 years. Thanks for joining, everybody. Have a good one. Super fast good one, everybody.
See ya.
What the fuck?